was the last time I had you on when I was still dating Marine Corps chick?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
We did an episode on long-term relationships and
Look at us
and
now.
yeah, would you look at us now?
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications, drop a comment. Any comment will do. Down below, favorite emoji, doesn't matter. It all helps us in the algorithms. If you guys are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, give us a 5-star review. Helps out more than you know. Follow me on social media. I'm on all the good ones. I think at this time, my new TikTok account has passed 5,000 followers, which is good. I've got Drew Afualo's minions chasing me and tagging her and everything, which is awesome. Because on this account, I think I'm coloring within the lines enough that they're not going to take my videos down. So if she makes an attack ad, she's got millions of followers. That's just going to bring more eyes on the product. So come at me, bish. Come at me. I don't care. Not on this count anyway. I used to be afraid of being banned, but that's what the email list is for. If you guys are not on the email list, get on the email list. I will send you some free stickers. I use this list not so I can like spam you guys with sales emails. It's so that if I ever get banned again on social media, because I've been banned on TikTok once, my second account's shadow banned. It's completely shadow banned. Like I still post videos there. No one sees them anymore. It gets like double-digit views. So I got the new account. But if I get banned on this account because someone like Drew attacks me, well, then bam, get on the email list. I can at least email you and say, hey, follow me on my new account. I'm just going to create another account, TikTok. Fuck you. All right, get on the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. You can join for as little as $10. You get all of these episodes, these Mondays episodes ad-free. So without all of this stuff, without the bread, you just get the meat. Just get the meat. You get the interview portion ad-free. You get those a few days early on Fridays. Get added to the beer credits on Mondays episodes. So if you stay tuned to the end of this episode, you'll and watch the credits, you'll see all the guys that are supporting this show, that are making this show possible. So thank you guys on the beer credits. And then if you guys want any kind of coaching, life coaching, date coaching, relationship coaching, get on the Patreon at tiers 2 or tiers 3. That's where I handle that. It's a monthly subscription. You know, once you get what you need out of the coaching program, you can leave at any time. No harm, no foul. You know, that's how I like it. There's no contracts. You're not locked in. If you guys ever want any kind of just one-off calls, you know, just one-off coaching, just DM me on Instagram. We can work that out. I've had guys do that. And then check out my Practical Law of Attraction course, loa.comeonmanpod.com. It's a mindset course. And once you get your mind right, everything else falls into place. You know, money, health, wealth, all that falls into place once you learn this stuff. It's amazing. And that's, with all that being said, let's talk about my guest today. My guest today is my spirit animal. It's 3% brother, Chris Kokoski. He was the original founder of the 3% Man Facebook group that is now nuked. It got blown up. We talk about that today. But he's also an admin in the newly risen 3% Brotherhood. If you guys want to join a group of like-minded men, the link's in the description for that. Join the 3% Brotherhood on Facebook. You have to have read How to Be a 3% Man at least once and be able to answer the admin questions and agree to the rules. But otherwise it's free, and it's a good, solid group of dudes that are just there to help each other, you know, level up. We swap notes, you know. One thing to note, like a lot of guys don't understand this, right? They get a girlfriend, they think she's their best friend, and they bring their problems to their girl, and their girl just slowly loses attraction over time. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. Women just don't care about your struggles as a man, right? So save that stuff for your boys or your therapist. The 3% Brotherhood is an excellent place for that, right? It's a great place that if you're having problems in your life, you bring it to the Brotherhood. Bring it to the Brotherhood. Swap some notes. We will actually help you solve your problems, because men solve problems, women create problems. You know what I mean? You know, you know what I mean? Anyway, So Chris is my guest today. We get into the 3% Brotherhood, what he's been up to. He hasn't been on the podcast in forever, so it's fun catching up. You'll love this conversation. Lots of great information. I'll bring you that right after these words. Do you struggle to find the kind of women you want? Are you tired of swiping away all day on dating apps and only finding mediocre women? When you're out and about at the supermarket or at the mall, all you see are woke liberal women? You can't seem to find a traditional submissive woman that checks all your boxes. What if I were to tell you that the reason why you can't find your traditional submissive woman is because of your mindset, because of your paradigm? We get what we focus on in life. And you have programmed your mind to think that there's only trash women around you. You've programmed your mind by focusing on what you don't want in a relationship. To solve this problem, I've created my practical law of attraction course. In my course, I will teach you how to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you will be hyper aware of the kind of women that will check all of your boxes. It's not that they weren't there before, it's just that you weren't aware of them because of your current mindset. So let's change that mindset today. Check out my course by visiting loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So act now. All right, returning to the podcast is my spirit animal. He's a writer and the founder of the original 3% Man Group. It's 3% brother Chris Kokoski. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Paul? Appreciate you inviting me out.
Dude, it's been forever since you've been on the podcast. I think
it has.
I think the last time I had you on when I was still dating Marine Corps chick.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. And I think I think so. Yeah.
And I think that was we did an episode on long-term relationships and
look at us now.
Yeah, would you look at us now? But we did an episode on long-term relationships and how that portion of the book, the differences between that portion of the book and the rest of it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at that time, I'm going to bring us in together here like this.
Yeah.
At that time, so I was still dating Marine Corps chick, and then you were with your now ex-fiance.
Right.
So we were both in, a relationship. So we wanted to talk about that. And then both of those relationships went tits up. Like, what the
You know what? Yep. For good, I think, for both of us.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, my relationship with Marine Corps chick didn't last very long at all. It was like 3 months max, I think. But it was good that I figured out in that short amount of time that she just wasn't the right fit for me.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, man,
a little bit longer.
Yeah. And
almost 2 years.
I've got questions about that, but before we get into that dirt, what the hell happened with the original group, man? So we did right after that happened, we did a live on it, but you weren't able to make that one. So it was me and brother Matt, and then brother Guy joined that live stream to talk about what happened to the original group. But let's talk about what happened to the original group.
Yeah, man, that was so crazy, and I'm really disappointed about what happened. But essentially, my whole Facebook account got deleted, and because of that, the group got deleted since I had created it. So somewhat lesson learned there. But what happened was I had my new phone number for a long time. And what I realized that every once in a while, when I logged into Facebook on my phone, it would log me into this other guy's Facebook account. Right. But I would log back out because I don't want, to do anything like that. But I'm always able to fix it real quick. No problem. Well, that's what I thought. Well, that's probably what happened. There's some mix up. And so sure enough, I logged into tried to log into my Facebook account again on my mobile when I couldn't get on desktop. And I went right into this guy's Facebook account again. So because his number was still attached to his Facebook account. And so there was a crossover there. Apparently it's probably, I'm sure it happens a lot more than people think. So if you ever change your number, make sure you take your number off of your old numbers off your Facebook account, because people could, accidentally be gaining access.
Oh, okay. So you were logging into your Facebook account on using your phone number as your login.
Correct. Yeah, it was connected to both of our accounts, and I think Facebook probably thought, well, that's a problem, and I guess decided that my
Right.
account was a
This
hacker.
this guy's got a whole group of masculinity guys. Like,
We're getting rid of him. That's
yeah,
right.
fuck
Get
that
rid of
guy.
that. So yeah. So unfortunately, there wasn't anything I can do, and that's why the group and my account got nixed.
Yeah, man, it was crazy that day because at the time of this recording, so there's a whole space-time continuum,
Right.
so this won't come out for like a month or whatever. But at the time of this recording, Brother Nathan's episode's out, and we
Okay.
were talking about that, about how
Oh, nice.
he and I both thought that we got banned when that happened, because when
Right.
when we ban people from the group, traditionally, like, let's say Luke kicked someone out, he would actually block them from the group, so they couldn't even see the group anymore.
Okay.
So I would get DMs from people saying, "Hey, what happened to the group?" It's like, the group's still there, you're gone though, So I thought that happened to me. I was like, oh shit, did these guys they were like, fuck that Paul guy,
Yeah, get him out of here.
let's get rid of that guy. And so I thought I was banned at first. So I went to the admin group chat and I was like, guys, what happened? Did you guys kick me out? What happened? And then everyone started realizing, oh shit, no, we can't find it either. And then I went looking through the group, and your account was like this, NPC, like,
Right.
like if you go into the profile, it's like this account no longer exists. And I was like, what the hell happened to Chris? Nuts, man.
Yeah, it was really, really nuts. Yeah.
It's so unfortunate too, man, because we had like 1,400 members and just a great history of old posts that you could go back through and look at people's notes. And
yeah, there was so much value there lost. So I don't know if there's some way to like have it owned by multiple people, or somehow to make that a little bit less painful if it happens again.
Well, that's how I tried to set up the new group. Because I think the way the old group was, I think you were the only admin, and then we were all just moderators. And so the way I set up the new group is all of us are admins.
Okay.
So in theory, if anything ever happens to my account, you guys should be able to keep it going, and then
Gotcha.
add me back in when I create
right. Yeah. Okay. That's smarter.
Hopefully that's how it works. Right. I don't know how it works.
Right.
Who knows? So so you and a few of the other admins sort of got booed up. We were sort of alluding to this earlier. You got booed up, as brother Steve likes to say. Steve C. We all got booed up, and stopped being active in the group, and you even found yourself engaged at one point. So
yeah.
So what happened with all that?
Well, I mean, so I'm looking for ultimately a serious relationship, and I'm in a relationship now, a great relationship, but and it's pretty new, but it's good. But that was, other than after I read, the 3% Man book for the first time, and started going, getting some success with the dating apps, with going out and dating and stuff, I quickly realized, well, that's all fun, but what I really want is something ultimately, longer term. So I was sort of, I guess, dating with that intention in mind. And that's one of the things I love about the 3% Man book and the concepts, is that it applies for whether you just want to go hook up with a bunch of people, or if you want to date around, or if you want to be more serious. So anyway,
I found that dating multiple women and sort of just testing the waters, even if that was your end goal, to have like a long-term relationship, was still like the most efficient way of going about doing it, which is something I had never done before I studied that stuff. Yeah.
Me neither. So anyway, so I was on that kind of journey, but so I met some, fabulous ladies while I was dating, with more of that intention. And it really came down to two people, and I liked them very equally. The biggest difference between the two of them, though, was the intensity I felt when I was around them. And looking back, I think probably would have been better and healthier for me to go with a more peaceful, I guess, option, or less intense option, however you want to define that. But I like them both. They're both were and are good, good women. But but I chose to go the route of the person with more intensity, and that is fun and it's exciting, but it also comes with challenge too. So it wasn't as much peace, there wasn't as much cooperation, and ultimately that was part of the unraveling. But so there was personality dynamics, there was the energy, the intensity, and then I certainly did some things wrong too. I was the perfect guy in the scenario either. So there was two of us, but and I learned a bunch, and it was a great experience. Painful at the end though; it kind of unraveled fast at the end.
Did
but,
it?
Yeah, but then I took a lot of lessons forward. So
what one thing that I realized too, like when I was dating Marine Corps chick, was that she would. One of the things I've learned is you need to sort of test a woman's ability to follow, right? And if you're looking for like your sort of traditional submissive type woman, you need to test their ability to follow. And one thing that I found with Marine Corps chick is that she just would like fight me on things tooth and nail. Like she did not want to take my lead a lot, and that caused a lot of problems, And it's like, okay, well, I mean, if you don't want to do it my way, then peace out.
Right.
I guess I'll see you around. But for me, I've learned, especially at my age, that it's just not worth the headache of dealing with some of these women that are like that. They just want to, they want to be in charge of the relationship. They want to take the lead. It's like, no, no, if that's the kind of relationship you want, this is not what it's going to be. So, peace out. Was that how it sort of ended up being, or what?
That was definitely part of it. In general, I don't like bossy people in general. So if I'm around anyone, it doesn't matter if it's a guy or girl, but if it's like every conversation seems like I'm in an argument or a debate, I don't like being around that person too much. So, and that's very true of my relationships with women as well. So yeah, so it was definitely kind of like that. We butted heads, and she's a very strong person, a very strong woman, and there's a lot of benefits to that. But in a relationships, it can cause trouble. So and a lot of times it felt like when we were just having normal conversations, that there was an energy there. And I think that goes back to that intensity that attracted me at first. There's something about that I like, but ultimately it didn't work out. And it never has. So big lesson I took from that is to look for more of the peace, not to acknowledge the intensity that I feel around certain people, but not to let that draw me in, versus the more peace that honestly, the peace can seem a little boring when you're used to the intensity, but I think it's healthier.
It is. I think it's healthier. But one thing, when I talked to Dr. Robert Glover, he was saying that, because one thing that I like to talk about too is how like women love drama, right? Like if they don't have drama, they'll create drama.
Yeah.
So you sort of like need to provide that for them. But another thing too is like guys like drama too, And Dr. Glover was saying that. He's like, look, if you have the perfect relationship, if she is just like the perfect woman, just super peaceful, super, relaxed or feminine, guys will get bored with that, and they will end up sabotaging the relationship, looking for crazy.
Right.
And
yeah.
So at some point you just have to realize like, no, this is better.
This is good. Right? This is good.
Yeah, this is good. You're in a good spot right now. Don't
right. So thankfully right now that's kind of where I'm at, and couldn't be happier with that. And I even wish my ex the best too. Like she's a good person, so I wish no ill will on her.
That's good. That's a good way to end things somewhat amicably. If you can. It doesn't always work out that way, but it's good if you could do that.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about that. What your dating situation like is now? So you're all booed up again, huh?
Yeah. I am in a relationship, so I have a girlfriend, and it's pretty new, and so far it's been great, and I'm happy. There's a lot of peace there, and a lot of positive things to talk about. Now she's a private person, so I want to respect that. I don't want to talk too much specifically about her.
Sure.
But
keep it vague. Keep it
which
high level. Yeah.
Exactly. High level generalities. But that's one of the things I do appreciate her though, is that she is private. She's not like on social media much. And I kind of appreciate that. And I dated a little bit, after while I was single, and again, it was fun. And I found real quick again that, I could, go out on dates, a lot of dates, and have some fun. And I did for a little bit, but ultimately that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for that. So,
yeah. Yeah. I think I would venture to say, and maybe it's a society thing, but I would venture to say that majority of guys want like something steady. They want a steady girlfriend. They don't want to be permanent plate spinners. And even if you read like the book, The Game, right?
Yeah.
Have you read The Game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Years ago, it was my first foray into like this whole world. But that that world was more pickup. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like all the pickup artists, they all ended up with like mental issues. They were all screwed up, and it's like they were able to go out and get laid like every weekend and sleep with all sorts of different chicks, and they all wanted a more deeper connection.
Right.
Which I think was it the book The Truth? I haven't read it yet, but Neil Strauss made a second book,
like a follow up. Yeah.
And
I haven't read it.
And Benny recommends reading that because he's like that's his whole journey where he went and did all sorts of different relationships. He had like polyamorous relationships.
Mm-hmm.
He had harems and did swinging and all that kind of stuff, and realized that no, he wants a monogamous relationship, and that's what fulfills him. And I would say that's most guys are like that.
I think so too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I like that way too. I like knowing where my pussy's coming from,
Yeah. I think, I guess there's evolutionists and biologists, whatever that disagree, but I think that human beings are sort of drawn, or I guess most people, to that long-term stat. And I think there's like one of the longest research studies on human happiness is about, that bond of strong, healthy, happy relationships.
I think, which is funny, you wouldn't think so because it's red pill, but
right.
But even Rollo talks about this quite a bit on his live streams. Is that there's studies show that monogamous relationships like make for more peaceful societies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And societies where they have, harems and multiple wives, like they're always constantly fighting and stuff like that,
Yeah.
It's like, makes sense.
Go figure, right?
This one guy, he gets all the poon in town. Fuck that guy. Let's go kill him. Take his wife.
Exactly. That's hilarious.
Oh man. So what's your end state look like? Do you, you were engaged with your previous girl. Like, is marriage something that's still on the table for you, or have you rethought that, or what do you think?
I've definitely rethought that a bit. I think it's still in the room. It's not necessarily on the table, but it's in the room as a possibility. I see, I would be happy with, under most circumstances, with just a long-term committed monogamous relationship. I think I can get pretty much all my needs met with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's, safer for most men in most situations. I guess if you were dating somebody that was making a lot more money than you, then maybe there'd be that incentive for you. But I don't think that's the right reason to get married either. So
yeah.
I'm a romantic, I guess. I like the idealized version of marriage, but there's just a lot of risk, as you well know, for men. So it's still an option that I would consider, but I would have to be thoroughly convinced of why this is a good reason. I know there's probably some tax reasons. There's some, like, if you're old and sickly and you need some health care, that's maybe a reason. But other than that, I don't see any reason why you couldn't just have a ceremony. You don't have to sign the paper, just have a ceremony. You could call each other husband and wife if you want to. wear rings if you want to, all of that, but not necessarily getting the government involved.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And there's no right or wrong answer to it. It really just
Yeah.
comes down to what people want out there. I personally, having been married and divorced and been run through the ringer, the divorce court debacle and paying my ex alimony and, still paying child support and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I just don't see any benefit of it. Nurse chick, she actually is one of those special women that had to pay her ex alimony.
Okay.
And so she knows what it feels like. And she's like, yeah, screw this. Like, there's no reason to get the government involved.
Right. Yeah.
And so she and I are on the same page, which works out really well. But,
it does.
But for some people, it's like they need that piece of paper to have that skin in the game, kind of mentally, at least.
Yeah.
So I get that for some guys. But it's like, if you don't, like you were saying, the healthcare thing, maybe when you're old, a lot of that stuff you could do without the marriage certificate. You could, you could, give someone the power of attorney to handle your business without them being married. So there's not there's no benefit.
It's hard to find one. It's hard to find one. And I guess, it's trying to connect, hook up with somebody, connect with somebody that kind of feels that same way. The woman I'm dating now, she seems open to the idea. She's been married before, so she kind of knows that whole deal. And she seems to be open to any different scenarios working out in the future, should we last that long. So
good. How long have you guys been together now?
Not long, about 3 months, so it's pretty new.
Oh, okay.
We met in January, started dating, and and just kind of progressed from there. One
thing that I really took to heart with Corey's book is that, and also I think Dr. Glover talked about it more. I can't remember now. I have to go back and reread those again, but you don't really truly get to know someone until like about 6 months to a year into a relationship. And so the 3 months mark it's always still pretty good. Like, everyone's still on their best behavior.
Right. Yeah. If it's not good, then that's not a good sign.
Yeah. If it's bad at the 3 month mark, like, you need to end things. So it sounds like things are going good still.
Yeah.
That's one thing that, like, Nurse Chick and I, we're coming up on our second year.
Okay. Nice.
And she's still the same exact woman that she was when I met her.
Okay.
So, like, that's
great.
There's never been a time where she was like fluffing me up really good for 6 months and then all of a sudden it went away. Like this morning, right before my live stream, for instance, she's not feeling very good. She has COVID, right?
Okay. Oh man. So
she's just kind of, feeling kind of blah and stuff. And so she was sleeping in this morning, and I was, I just woke up. And so I was checking social media, and that's usually what I first thing in the morning is get up I post like a TikTok, like one that's been in my drafts. I'll post that first thing in the morning and check stats on things. And anyway, she was asleep and she noticed I was awake, and she goes, "Oh, hey babe, do you want some coffee?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love some coffee." And so I thought she was just getting up to go make some, get up for her day. And no, she gets up, she goes and makes me coffee, and then climbs back into bed and goes back to sleep.
That's very sweet.
And I was like, 2 years in, still does stuff like that. Like, that's awesome,
That's totally awesome. I love it. I love that for you.
So your new girl, you said she was married. Does she have kids? She's a single mom, dude.
I know she is a single mom.
What? Oh shit! We're not supposed to.
I know we're not supposed to talk about that. We're not supposed to.
Nurse Chick's a single mom. I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's one of the things I've always liked about your philosophy and that you promote and live by is that, and in the whole the space, the manosphere space or whatnot. There's a lot of negativity towards single moms and different things. So, but and to each their own. But I'm a single dad, so it doesn't bother me at all. But
it works out great if you're a single dad.
Yeah,
and you only have your kids part-time because you can only date part-time anyway. So
Exactly.
it works out so much better when you have someone that can also only date part-time. It's like
right. It creates, as long as the schedules kind of merge up enough where you guys can see each other sometimes, which thankfully it does in my case. And yeah, but I think it does help that it forces you not to see each other all the time right away. And I think that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it puts that, man, people, this is one thing that it took me reading this material to learn, which was that you don't want to spend a lot of time in the beginning. You want to see each other maybe once a week, even if you like in your mind wants to see them 3 times a week and have them fill up all your fucking time. It's not healthy. It doesn't build attraction, and
no,
it just works out better to give yourself some space and have other things to do, other people to see, and friends to hang out with, and have a purpose.
Right.
Like amazing.
Imagine that.
So speaking of the book, do you still read the book periodically?
I do, and in fact, I'm in the process of going through it again. And just trying to take my time. And it's funny how you pick up new things, even if you've been through it a bunch, and you're like, oh, I never noticed he said that particular. It just might just be a sentence or two, and I'm like, oh wait, that's new, at least to me. It's been there the whole time, but a new part of it. But yeah, I definitely still go through it. And I think it's helpful. And I know I've heard you say it a number of times, is that it's just easy to go back to your base level programming and fall back into old habits. And that's certainly true of me just as much as anybody else. So I did some of that in my past relationship, which didn't help. I'm very susceptible to it. So I want to keep up.
Yeah, and it's not an indictment on you, because I've noticed it happens to a lot of fucking guys.
Yeah,
it happens to a lot of guys. Because that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast, was I wanted to always keep it in the forefront. Like I sort of made that commitment. Like I'm going to be the Bob Proctor of this shit. Like I'm going to spend the next 60 years reading this shit. You know what I mean? And studying women and having the podcast and talking to other guys about it. And
absolutely.
I think it just helps in my relationship. And but yeah, one thing I've noticed, the group itself, it's a new group now, but it's still the same guys. Like a lot of the guys that are in there now are from the original group. And yeah, it's just like, I would see that over the last 3 years, guys would come and go, and they would, you would see them, they'd be really active, and all of a sudden you wouldn't see them for months or a year, and then they would be back in their group, and you're like, oh, hey, what's up? And they're like, oh, I was with this girl, and things fell through, and you're like, well, what happened? Well, I stopped reading the book, and you're like, but so it happens so commonly. Dr. Glover, and going back to Dr. Glover, he said that it happened to him. When he was rereading No More Mr. Nice Guy, he said as he's reading it for the recording, he realized that he wasn't following his own advice.
Yeah.
He was like, oh shit, I haven't been doing this. I have, and Corey says it in his book. He said that there was times where he was slipping, and he had to go back and reread the material that he learned, that all of his stuff is based off of, because none of that's original, but
right.
So it happens to everybody. It just it's good to see you, Nathan, Matt, everybody's like back in the group now. And it's like, everyone got booed up, and they're all back in the group now. So everyone's in the same boat. And I think it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but it's good to have you guys back in there,
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it.
So what was your last, so you're going through it again. What was your last aha moment?
It's a good question. Last aha moment. I think it's just a relearning again, kind of what you had alluded to a little bit earlier, and that is going where the energy is best. It's like just choosing people who are very attracted to you, I guess, is that. And I think, and that's what I've been trying to do. and trying to go through those open doors. And that's, and that's related to the idea of the intensity. That's probably been my biggest aha moment. And I think that, I think Corey, the way he sort of talks about that is giving space at the beginning and letting that tension build, but also being on the lookout for, quote unquote, red flags. So, and I think that intensity is one of them. I think the intensity is something that, at least for me, is easy to get drawn to, but it's not healthy, and it doesn't bode well, I don't think, for long term. So, so it's a combination of those things: the looking for more peace and walking through the open doors. I think once I started dating again, before I got into this relationship, again, I was, setting up, several dates a week, and that was fun. And I could tell right away whether, if I was into them or they were really into me, and I just didn't waste any time. Probably the quickest I've ever been like, okay, this isn't for us. It's not the right vibe that we're going for, and just being real direct and clear, but nice about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good thing. One thing, I have a coaching client, and he's read 3% Man now, I think, a couple times.
Okay.
But before he would read it, and he wasn't actually like going out and practicing any of it. So he was reading it and just sort of taking mental notes or whatever. Right. But since he started the coaching, like, I actually have him go out and do stuff, like, and talk to chicks, and he's got this one chick. He's a dancer. So he has a dance partner that he works with, and the way he describes this chick is she is all over him.
Okay.
She's all over him.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about it, and I'm just sitting there like listening to him going, dude, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
Like, why are you not walking through this giant open door? Like, she doesn't just have the doors open. She has all the windows open. She's got the fucking skylights open. She's got the garage door open, dude. Walk through this shit. And he's like, really? Oh, I just thought she was being nice, And I was like,
not that nice.
chicks don't just do this right here.
Not that much, right?
So that was something that, like, I really had to learn myself reading the book, because I would just assume chicks were just being nice, and so so now that he's doing this coaching stuff, and I'm explaining this to him as he's talking to women, and now he's going back through the book again, he's getting all sorts of aha moments.
Nice.
It all just makes so much more sense to him, because now that he's actually practicing it, he's like, that's what Corey meant when he said this. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, right.
Like, this is why I tell guys, like, don't just read the book, like, go out and practice it.
Yeah, that's so important. I mean, it is so true. You really can't understand certain points or techniques. At least they start out as techniques, until you go out there and live it and practice it, and sort of becomes your new mindset, where you just do it a little bit more naturally. But yeah, I noticed that too. Even just rereading the book too and going to the gym. I'm more aware now of when I at least sense that there's attraction coming from other people. I'm in a relationship now, so I don't do anything about it, but I notice it.
Yeah.
And, I guess being in my past relationship for, a number of years, I kind of I turned that off, because I didn't necessarily need it, or wasn't as focused on it. But so that's been interesting. For sure.
One thing that I've learned in this space, not from Corey, but from the red pill space, is this idea of like dread game, and how important dread game is, and they talk about it in Atomic Attraction too a little bit, but the Christopher Canwell's version of dread game is garbage. It's not that good, right? Whereas you can have passive dread game in a long-term relationship and it be really healthy.
Right.
And one of the things with that is to really not rest on your laurels with that, and really still pay attention to signs of attraction, and don't dissuade chicks from like hitting on you.
Right.
And like, don't be opposed to sort of flirting with them back a little bit, I mean, don't act on it. Like, don't take it and go ask for numbers and bang these other chicks. Like, I mean, that's taking it a little too far, but,
Sure.
that whole thing of like your girl seeing that the cute waitress is flashing her boobs at you and is like really giving you the oogly eyes and stuff like that actually helps you out in attraction. It's like, it keeps her interest higher, when she realizes that you're still an attractive guy.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I think, yeah, both men and women are prone to just take things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
I know I probably do that. The first time somebody does something, it's really nice. And maybe the 17th time I don't say thank you. I still feel appreciative of it, but
Yeah.
And I've noticed that from people I've dated in the past too, is like I would open the car door for them and, for a while it would be thank you. And suddenly that stopped and it became almost like an expectation. So, but yeah, I think when women, in our case are talking, realize that there's competition still out there that, oh yeah, you do. They are lucky to be with you and you're lucky to be with them. And that mutual gratitude, I think, is really good.
Yeah, that's super important. One thing I still do is I still open doors for Nurse Chick. Yeah. And we even joke, right? where like I'll get out of the truck and I'm like doing other things and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't opened her door yet. And she's just waiting, And so then I go around the car and I open the door and I'm like, oh babe, you're trapped. You were trapped in there. Like, it's like a total joke, but right. It's just a fun thing to do still. I like doing it. I'm glad that I started practicing doing that because it actually is it's a fun thing to do. And it's not putting your girl on a pedestal. It's I like the way Dr. Glover describes it as it's setting the tone and taking the lead. It's so and chicks really do appreciate that gentleman stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm sure I've asked you this before, but what other books in the space have you read that you recommend other guys read?
In this space, so let's see.
Or if it's not in this space, what's a good book that you read recently that you think other guys should read?
Yeah, well, one that I'm reading now is actually about sex, but it's called She Comes First.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
And it's really good. I mean, it's all about, going down on a woman, and it's very detailed. It's very, it's a good overall philosophy. I think, just because it usually takes longer for women to orgasm than men. So, and, being and I think you've had whole podcast episodes about it in the past, but upping your game in the bedroom never hurts anyone. So yeah. So I think I would recommend that book. I think it's a good book. I
actually had a doctor from the original 3% Man Group on to talk about. He talked about that book specifically. We used a pseudonym for him, and we hit his face because he was a general practitioner and he didn't want people to Google his practice and know that he was talking about eating women out on a podcast. But he highly recommended that book. And it's funny because I'm technically in the red pill space,
right?
And there's this whole idea of like alpha and beta and stuff, right? And worrying about your girl's orgasm, that's beta, that's beta shit. But the thing is, when you study this stuff more, you realize that if you're in a long-term relationship, like chicks, they need both. They need the alpha and beta traits. And one thing that Eric Everhart says, and I've had him on, and he's a porn star. And he wrote a really great book on this called Unleash Your Sexual Superpowers. And a lot of it is his first chapter is on how you need to learn to eat pussy.
Right.
And that's how he says it in the book.
Right.
And one of the things that he really points out in the book is that if you are really good in the bedroom, if you really ring your girl's bell, you can get away with fucking anything in a relationship. Like she will let so much slide if you are ringing her bell on a consistent basis. So I think that's a beta trait that guys fucking absolutely should embrace.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And I think, I think everybody can improve, including myself. So, but when it's going well, I've noticed a very positive increase in attraction from the women I've dated when things are going well and they like what's happening in the bedroom. So yeah, that's really good. I think that's really the only book I've been reading. Now I am and I think I mentioned to you before, but I'm actually in the process of working on a book myself because
that's right. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Are you because you're a professional writer, so
yeah.
are you writing a book on dating and relationships, or?
I am, and it's very specific to subject and relationship. So I have one of my websites I have is a relationship website. It's relationshipfire.com, and I also write a lot about relationships and sex on medium.com. So if anybody just Googled my name, probably those two would come up somewhere.
Relationshipfire.com?
Yeah, relationshipfire.com, and it's a website. I actually have mentioned your podcast at least one time on there in one of my articles about dating resources. But
I'll link to this.
Yeah. And so the book itself, though, I think is a subject that I've always struggled with. So I come from a place of personal experience struggling with the area and getting better. And it's really, people talk about it different ways. I know you talk about it a lot. To me, it's about being centered, and you could call it frame. I think all of those are
same diff.
Yeah, same things. But I think an practical, accessible book on that topic that Corey Wayne in 3% Man talks about a lot, and one way or another, that idea comes up in all of the conversations really about men and relationships and all that stuff. So anyway, I thought I would join. I would write something about that. So I'm hoping to have that done this year. Finishing up another book about writing that I had already started working on, but it's up next.
You're writing a book about writing.
I am writing a book about writing. Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So, okay. Are you self-publishing these, or do you have a publisher?
I am going to self-publish these. I've had a small publisher in the past, and that went okay, but I've had a little bit more success with self-publishing.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I'll probably put these up on Amazon. Who knows? I might promote them either way on my websites as well.
Well, when the relationship book comes out, come back on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah.
So speaking of writing, do you by chance offer ghostwriting services? Because I need to have you finish this fucking book that I'm writing. I've been writing it for well over a year now. I have like 2.5 chapters left, and
okay, so you're close.
But I only write every other weekend on Sundays.
Sure.
And
sure.
And then if my kids have something going on like that, I lose basically a month.
Right. Right.
And so like this weekend, for instance, would be my writing weekend, this weekend coming up. But my son's birthday is tomorrow at the time of this recording. And so he wanted me to take him to Salt Lake City to go to an amusement park there for the weekend. Like that's what he wanted for his birthday. So I was like, all right, fine, we'll go there. So he and I are having bro time at the amusement park, and which means I'm not going to get to write. And right now I'm writing my chapter I'm writing is on it's on dating and spinning plates. Okay. And so there's technically like I think 10 chapters in my book, right? Mm-hmm. But 2 of the chapters have like a bunch of sub chapters in them. I'm sure when I send it to an editor, they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? And they're going to fix it up for me. And it's going to be like a 50 chapter book. But, but yeah, my chapter so far on dating and spinning plates, it's a very, all encompassing chapter. And so therefore there's a whole bunch of like sub things in there, like on physical attractiveness and dating apps and, cold approach and stuff like that. Just like how do you meet the chicks? Right. So, anyway, like it's just taken me forever to write this book. I didn't realize it was going to be such a pain. And then there's times where I'm writing and I just get in a flow and I'm just like, oh, this is awesome. And I'm just knocking out like chapters. And then there's other weekends where I'm just like, what the fuck am I going to write about? What am I going to say about this? And I have a basic outline for it, but I can't, I don't know. I asked Aaron Clary about this. Aaron Clary wrote he's written like fucking dozen books now or whatever, and asked him about it. He's like, you don't just make an outline and just boom boom boom. This is the and I go well I have the chapters, but I don't know what I'm going to say specifically in the chapters, And
Right.
so, how do you do that? I mean, your book on writing probably talks about this.
My book on writing is about it's about query letters, which is again a subtopic. It's like a cover letter for a novel you want traditionally published versus self-publishing, but it's something a lot of writers struggle with. But so for my nonfiction books, I do have an outline, and I typically have a list, I guess an outline for each one of my chapters too. So I'm kind of in that realm where I have my outline and I just write the outline. So I expand the ideas in each chapter. And typically what I do is I'll come up with my major outline for my book, and then I will ask a bunch of questions and for each chapter, and those questions will be my prompts. I might not actually write my question, in the book, might not have my question, like, what does that mean? Or how does that work in this context? But that I found it a lot easier to write to questions versus just some random idea in my head. So,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been weekends where I'll get to the chapter. Like this is what happened with the dating chapter is, I was like, I never sat down and thought about everything that I've learned over the last 3 years
Right.
on dating and spinning plates. And so I was like, how do I put this in a timely or, sort of a chronological order?
Right.
And make it make sense. And it's basically like just a knowledge dump. And so I just sat down and started making bullet points. So that was like a full day of just of my writing time, just thinking, okay, well, what about this scenario? And so I had to add like a bullet point there. That took up a whole day. And so then the next weekend I had to start writing towards those bullet points.
Right.
And so, I don't know. It just takes me forever to do this shit. I'm definitely not an author. No.
Well, I can't speak for other authors, but I know that it can be, I mean, I love writing, but it's not always easy, and maybe never easy. And it can definitely be grueling and a grind for sure.
Yeah. And then there's Rollo who comes up with a book every year. And I'm like, Rollo, how the fuck do you do this, man? He's just like, he likes to write. So he'll spend days, hours a day, like writing out his stuff. And I'm just like, oh, that's my problem, is I'm just not dedicating enough time to it. Got it. Okay. I need to.
Yeah. Well, you got your podcast and YouTube, and you got all the other things you're working on.
Right. And I have a day job. Yeah.
And the day job, right?
That's what I need you guys to join the Patreon so that I could stop doing my day job so I could focus on this book. If you guys want this book to get done.
There you go.
So after being an admin in the original group and also being an admin in our new 3% Brotherhood group, what is the biggest struggle that you see guys, dealing with?
The biggest struggle, it seems to be from the questions that people post there in the group, in the new group and the old group. I think typically it comes back to some of the basic principles, but sometimes I guess when you're in the situation, you're in the relationship, it's hard to be subjective with your own experience. So it's hard to say, oh, this is how that principle applies to this situation that I'm in. And I think, I've heard so many people struggle with, struggle with leaving a relationship or letting a relationship go that really needs to be let go. So either they need to get out of the relationship or let go of that relationship and not try to get the ex back. I mean, I know that's a lot of reason people end up in this space, is trying to get the ex back. But I don't know that I've ever seen a success story with that. I'm sure there are success stories, but I would think those are a lot more rare than, hey, I'm going to learn skills, upgrade myself, and start fresh with somebody new and make that work. I think I've seen much more success with that route.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that there's at least two guys. I'm not going to name any names here, but there's at least two guys in the group that over the last 3 years I've noticed like really struggled with like really they wanted that ex back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they would find that these exes would sort of like sleek back into their lives and have them on the hook. They would it's almost like their exes wanted power over these guys, you know? So when they realized that these guys were starting to slip away, they would, you know, come back for a little bit, have sex with these guys would be hooked again, and then they would go off and fucking do their own thing. It's just like a total manipulation thing.
Right.
And yeah, there's some guys where I'm just like, they'll call me up or whatever, and we'll talk about it. I'm like, do you hear what you're saying right now? Like, do you hear yourself talk right now? Like, you know the answer to this, you know? So
it's just hard to and I get it. I mean, you know, I don't always end relationships when I need to either, but I think I've gotten a lot better at it. And I know it's heart wrenching. You know, you spend so much time, you invest so much time in somebody, so that can make it hard to let go.
They call that the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where you're like, well, I put so much time and effort in this person, like I can't just let this thing go. It's like, yeah, you know, especially if you're not married, you know what I mean? Like if you're not married, I think it's really hard once you like, if you move them in with you at any point, like you're really complicating things, especially if things weren't that good to begin with, you know? It's like, ooh, you moved them in.
Thought that was the solution.
Yeah, you thought that was going to fix things. Yes. So yeah, yeah, I hear you, man. So we all need to find a purpose and work on our purpose. What's your biggest purpose these days, and how can men who are just starting out find their purpose?
Those are great questions. My purpose is building my portfolio of websites, and through that, helping as many people as possible in the different topics that I talk about. One is the relationship website, and that allows me to answer questions that people are asking on Google, and sometimes those questions are pretty interesting or funny or bizarre, but they're real questions that people ask, so I answer them. So if anybody happens to go to the website and be like, why did he write about that topic? Well, that's because Google says a lot of people want to know about it. So so that's my purpose, is building up portfolio websites and you know, continuing my financial freedom, my geographic freedom, and helping people through the different topics. So I got writing, I got relationships website, and then I got one about gaming and games kinds of stuff, and some other ones that I'm working on in the financial realm, which I might pick your brain about sometime as well.
Now I'm fascinated. So I used to write a blog years ago.
Yeah.
It's still out there. It's a tech blog. It's called bowerpower.net.
Okay.
And I started that not because I really like writing per se, but I started that because I was learning IT technology and stuff like that. I was just getting into the business, and I fell in love with IT, man. Like I loved like Linux. I loved, you know, I love like hacking things. I love learning how to like hack Wi-Fi and shit, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so every cool little tool and, you know, little app that I found, and, you know, if I learned how to like, you know, cluster servers together, and it was the first time I'd ever done that, I'd write a blog about it, because what I found was when I was married, when I first started getting into this stuff, I'd go and tell my wife all this stuff, because I had no friends, you know, I had no friends like most guys. And I would go and tell my wife all this nerd shit that I was learning, and she couldn't care less.
Right.
And so I was like, well, fine, I'm going to start a blog and I'm going to write about this stuff, and people that care are going to find it. And so yeah, I wrote this blog for years, and it's still out there. It still gets like 100,000 views a month. I don't write it anymore. But there's so many like things where like I ran into an issue at work, and, you know, I had to figure it out, and it was a real complicated issue. So I wrote up how to fix that. And so there's other IT guys that are looking for that problem, and they find it,
Yeah.
So your portfolio of sites, I mean, is that essentially the same idea? Is it like, are these blogs and then you write based on Google searches, people that things that people are searching for, you write articles about it for like SEO, and then what, you have like Google AdSense on there and your
Yeah.
ad revenue or what?
Yep, exactly. I have a display advertising at Google AdSense. I have a Zoic right now, and
Zoic?
Zoic is another display ad network, and it's usually people go from Google AdSense to Zoic to Mediavine to AdThrive. Now that's not what everybody does, but it's a pretty common progression because you need a certain number of page views per month to go to each one of these stages. And I'm working on getting one of my websites, which I think will get in there, my biggest one, into Mediavine, hopefully in the next few months. And yeah, it's all based on organic traffic by what people are searching on Google, and I either find that manually or I go do some keyword tools and the SEO route. So, and it allows me to write about all sorts of fun and interesting things, which is what I spend most of my day doing. It's what I was doing all day this morning.
Yeah. So when I was doing that, I did have AdSense, and years ago I got kicked off of AdSense.
Okay.
And I didn't know why. And I was like, why am I getting kicked off? And I go to appeal it, and they were just like, we're not going to tell you why, it's proprietary. But and it's like, it's like, you have no idea. And I was like, well, maybe I could fix it. Like maybe, but yeah, I think what happened was like my site got hit with a bunch of bots, and they saw like irregular like traffic, and so they kicked me off their platform. So after that, I couldn't find an ad network that paid as well as AdSense. Never could, because I was making like $500 a month. Just
that's great. I mean, there's plenty of bloggers who are, that's their goal, is to get at least there. So as you've done, it's perfectly achievable. But yeah, that's one of the scary things, and it's like somewhat more scary maybe now than when you were doing it more fully, is that there's algorithm updates on Google all the time, and it's one of the reasons I have a portfolio, is to in some way mitigate the risk. Thankfully, so far none of my websites have been hit too hard, but I hear people in the space where their traffic just sinks, and supposedly nothing that they've done.
Yeah, I was getting a ton of traffic, and then they did, and this was years ago though. They had what's called like the Panda update or whatever.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I heard that.
And that killed traffic for a while, but then like traffic came back, and it wasn't.
It usually does, is what I hear. Yeah.
So I was getting traffic. It's more like it's as long as you stay consistent and post on these blogs, like the algorithm, the Google search loves it.
Works it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, I still get a lot of traffic to that blog, even though I don't write it anymore, but I just, the revenue just completely tanked after being on AdSense. And I tried a bunch of other platforms. And the last one that I put on there is it's a one from Europe called the Monetizer, and they were actually paying okay. The sucky thing about that is they constantly have these was it ads.txt file updates that you have to keep updating your fucking website with. And I'm like, you're not paying me enough to keep up with this. So like I haven't updated it in like forever. So I'm like, I haven't got paid from them forever, but I'm like, I also don't care, because like they don't pay as much as AdSense. So I'm like, why am I wasting my time with this?
Right.
So that's interesting. So, okay. Very cool. It's cool that people could still do that though. They could still make a living off of blogging stuff. Have you checked out, what's it called? Substack. Have you checked out Substack?
I haven't looked into it. I have some people I know, some other bloggers that, do, I guess, well on there, but I have not gone that round yet.
So Ryan Stone and Rollo both started Substack.
Okay.
Now, there's a guy that most people here haven't heard of it. He goes by Red Pill Hawk. In fact, by the time this drops, I just did an interview with him.
Oh, nice.
So Red Hawk, he's been writing on Substack. He got Ryan hooked up on it, and then Allie from Real Femme Sapien, she started Substack, and they're all loving it because I guess the Substack algorithm like helps promote your material. You can get subscribers, and your subscribers will actually like pay So what
Mhm.
Ryan does is he gives them like 80% of an article, and then if you want to continue reading the last 20%, then you can subscribe.
Okay.
And then he charges like a very nominal fee, like maybe $2 a subscriber or something
Right.
like that, but it
Yeah.
adds up.
Yeah.
And
For good.
Ryan just fucking loves it, right? He got Rollo to start doing it, so now Rollo's got a Substack, and so you might check that out as a
Oh,
professional writer,
yeah, absolutely.
because it's another way to make revenue. And then
Mhm.
and I guess the Substack algorithm like actually helps out the writers. So
Good, cool. Yeah. That sounds great.
curious about that. We're almost at an hour here, so let me ask you this. And I asked you this, I think, the last time you were on, but we'll change it up a little bit. So, does being a 3% man still hold the same meaning for you, or has your idea of what a 3% man means evolved?
Yeah, it definitely has evolved for me. Like when I first read the book, I really just wanted to have the baseline understanding. Like I had studied relationships for years, and I even taught evidence-based relationship skills for a couple of years. But there was still just these missing pieces. And the thing I loved about and still do about the 3% Man book is that it put it all together in a simple framework that I could understand and apply, and I saw that it made sense in the real world. And so back then, it was more a base level understanding, and just to be, to date well, to be a dater and to go out on dates. And then I think to me now, it is more about holistically, it's more about being successful as a person, as a man, not just my relationships. That's just one part of it, and the whole wheel of my life. So yeah, it's definitely evolved where now I see it as much broader, and
Mm,
just being success. And I really focus, I think, more on my mission now than the actual relationship stuff. But obviously, that's important.
got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer, man. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today, man. Where so besides relationshipfire.com and Medium, where can people find you online?
Those are probably the two best places. I do have a Twitter that I hang out on sometimes. I think it's just at Chris_Kokoski. Um,
You're on
so
Twitter?
I am on Twitter. Yeah, I used to focus on it a long time ago, and I think I got up to like 10,000 followers, which was pretty good for me back then. But it never did anything for me. The brass tacks for me is always, am I making more money in from this? Is doing anything? Because otherwise, it's like vanity metrics to me. But so yeah, I'm on there. I post some stuff. I lurk around and comment.
Well, shit, I'm gonna follow you on there. I ever
Yeah.
since Elon Musk took over, I love Twitter, man.
That
Like I
has
don't,
definitely got me more interested in it. Yeah.
yeah.
And speaking of Elon, like in that whole tech space stuff, I'm loving all the AI tools, the generators, the Chat GPT, all that kind of stuff is phenomenal. So
That stuff's fun to do. I've made some Twitter threads with Chat GPT.
Mhm.
Although Chat GPT will like they won't post anything that's not woke, so you have to
Right.
like
Yeah.
you have to go
Yeah.
through and you have to go ahead and go through and tweak it. Another
Absolutely.
There's an AI tool, there's a couple of AI tools that I've tried where like you upload long form content like this, like
Hmm.
and it's supposed to cut it into clips for like TikTok. That still sucks,
Okay. I haven't tried that, but that'd be great if they get it right.
Yeah, so like the last one I tried, which was, I think it's called was it video.ai.
Hmm.
That one did the best, but what it doesn't do that, like, if you hire an editor, if you do it yourself, is it doesn't cut out all the ums and ahs. It doesn't
Right.
cut out the dead air. So if I like that pause right there, when I'm editing, I'll cut that out. I'll also cut out any ums and
Hmm.
whatever if I'm stammering, because I stammer all the fucking time.
Right.
Uh, but I'll cut all that out. So when I post it to TikTok, there's jump cuts, but it's a clear, smooth sentence, and I actually sound like I know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. And but the
Yeah.
AI won't do that. AI is not doing that yet. If it did
Mm.
that, I would start using that right away. I'd just upload this
Yeah.
shit. I'd have 50 clips per episode and just
That'd be
blast,
amazing. That'd be
just
amazing.
blast TikTok with all that stuff.
Heck
So
yeah.
hopefully it'll be there soon. It'll be there soon. Well,
Yeah.
Chris, are you still doing TikTok? Are you still doing was it the writer beginner or whatever? Or
I'm still on TikTok. I don't do much of it
Okay.
right now. Yeah, I do a little bit of YouTube stuff, but it's really all in support of my blogs. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll link to Relationship Fire and your Twitter handle then in the description.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Sounds
thanks
good.
for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. It's good talking to you.
Hey, thanks so much, Paul. It's great to be here.
Chris, thank you so much for joining me today, man. You're welcome back anytime. You don't be a stranger, man. Don't be a stranger. You come back on the podcast. Come on, man. Come on back. Come on back on the podcast more often, dude. It's good talking to you. It's good catching up with you, seeing what you're up to. I really am enjoying the new 3% Brotherhood group. You know, I think there's a lot of buzzing activity in it, which is amazing. There's only 75 dudes in it right now. And when we had 1,400 guys in the old group, like it sort of became a dead group, which was unfortunate. I think part of that was because, we sort of went a little scorched earth and banned a lot of people in there. And I think a lot of people were afraid to make posts. And so we chilled out a little bit in the Brotherhood, but it's still a great group where it's not a bunch of like women bashing. It's actually really good note swapping. A lot of guys making comments and giving advice and guys asking questions, guys not being afraid to ask questions, which is good. Excellent stuff. Join the group if you guys have read How to Be a 3% Man at least once and can answer the questions. We're going to welcome you with open arms to the group. All right. That's pretty much all we have this episode. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications, drop a comment. Any comment will do. Your favorite emoji. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the Patreon for as little as $10. Patreon.com/ComeOnManPod. Don't send a super chat, but join Wednesday or Friday's live streams and send a super chat. That's a great way to support the show. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. I'll send you free stickers for your troubles. If you guys like these designs, they're also available as merch. This particular hat is not available as sticker though. It's only available in the merch store. It says, girl, you know I'm a bad boy. This is available as like t-shirts and mugs and hoodies and stuff as well. So check that out. Get merch at merch.comeonmanpod.com. And then finally, check out my Practical Law of Attraction course, loa.comeonmanpod.com. The link's in the description for this. And then along with some other courses, right? I have courses from Aaron Clary. I have courses from RP Thor. I have courses from John Fitch, right? If you want to learn how to fight, practical self-defense, John Fitch's course is down below. I've got a course from Evan from Performance Potential on dating apps and how to be better at conversing on dating apps to convert more dates. Check that out. The link's in the description for that. By the time this drops, I should have a link to what's his face's course to Troy Francis's. Troy Francis has a course that should be down below by now. And yeah, man, wealth of knowledge is down below in the description. Check all of that stuff out. I don't plug that stuff enough, so I'm plugging it now. That's all we have for this episode. Join me Wednesday for my live stream. I don't know what the topic's going to be yet, but I'm sure you'll love it. Tune into that. And then also, I'm live every Wednesday and Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then also check me out on Rule Zero on Saturdays. Other than that, we'll catch you next time.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.